Welcome to a lesson with Dr. Powell. Let's look at a way that we can think about factoring and how to kind of get potential factors of a polynomial. Let's start with something pretty basic. What if we have, let's kind of work backwards even. What if we have like 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. Let's suppose that we factored it. And this is a quadratic. I mean, it's a polynomial, but we have experience with that. But it'll kind of give us a sense for where we're going. Notice that when you FOIL this out, this guy times that guy is the leading term. This guy times this guy is the last term, called the constant term, that has an x to the 0. So -1 times 3 is -3. And here you get 2x squared for the leading term. In general, notice that these guys right here, this 3 and this -1, they are factors of the constant term. Do you see this guy and this guy right here? They multiply together to give you the leading term. So when we're looking for potential factors to put into a polynomial, we're always going to look at that. We look at the leading term and we look at the constant term. And then whenever we have some kind of factor that we're going to write, like ax plus or minus b in some way, when we write this out, this b will always be a factor of the constant term if it's a nice root, if it's nice and factorable. And this a will be a factor of the leading term, or the leading coefficient. The leading factor of the leading coefficient, factor of the constant coefficient. And what's more, and we will use this with synthetic division to help us factor, when we set this equal to 0, let's see, if we did ax plus b equaling 0, let's see what happens. You put the b on the other side, minus b is equal to ax, x is equal to minus b over a. Or if this was a minus, then you'd have a plus b over a. So we actually get plus or minus b over a is going to be a value of x that makes this guy 0. So when we're looking at a polynomial and we're trying to find factors, what we're actually going to do is we're going to be searching for zeros to factor it. And the way we're going to search for zeros is we're going to use synthetic division and plugging things in. And what are we going to plug in? We're going to plug in factors of the constant term divided by factors of the leading term. Now, is this helpful at all? Because, I mean, if we're solving an equation, and we're using the zeros to factor, or the solutions to factor, that seems counterproductive. But actually, it's not in some sense, because if you know one result, you can actually find the other ones, because synthetic division doesn't just tell you if something's a factor, but it actually does more. It actually starts to factor it for you. So it reduces the problem to something simpler. If you get down to a quadratic, then you don't have to use this idea anymore. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to be looking for, we're going to be thinking of x values as factors of the constant term divided by factors of the leading term, and plugging them in using the synthetic division trick of plugging in. And if we end up getting 0 as the output, then we know we got a factor. And not only do we know we have a factor, but we know how the rest factors because we've found the quotient in the process. In the next video, I'll give you an example of that. Thanks for watching.